Hello and welcome to Green Bull Research. Today we're reviewing Whitney Tilson's investment advisory service, Empire Financial Research. In this video, we'll take a closer look at this popular investment advisory company who often puts out investment teasers that tempt people to buy into their services. That's right, a deep dive to determine whether this company offers legit investment research or scammy sales pitches you should avoid. Let's get to it. Here at Green Bull Research, we've seen many teasers presented by Whitney Tilson, so we wanted to take a closer look at what his firm is all about. Whitney Tilson is a former hedge fund manager and a fixture in financial circles as the head of the now closed Case Capital. Tilson appeared in a 2019 video that explained his reasons for entering the world of finance research. Of course, he starts with his claim to fame, growing a $1 million fund to over $200 million, which is how he became one of the best-known investors out there. And he's not bashful about his accomplishments, but nor is that rare among financial research editors. What is different with Tilson is that he does not shy away from talking about his failures, even his most substantial ones, and we'll take a closer look at these momentarily. But according to Tilson, his main motivation is that since he's learned a lot from others, he now wants to teach others. He claims that his ultimate goal now is to help people make more money. And this sure sounds good, and even selfless, at first glance anyways. But logically, we have to ask some questions about this. Because isn't managing a fund also a way of helping others make money? And since he had issues with the last fund he managed, wouldn't it be better if he redeemed himself there first? And even if we grant him that he learned a lot of lessons in the past, is that enough for subscribers to trust him now? So obviously there are a lot of issues that we need to talk about. Other than examining Tilson's career, we'll also dive deep into the services his firm offers. If you're on the verge of subscribing to his newsletters, or even just curious, we have what you need, so stick around for this honest, thorough, and fair review. So Empire Financial Research is founded by Whitney Tilson, and their website is at empirefinancialresearch.com, and they are an investment research service. According to Whitney Tilson, the firm's goal is to provide research, guidance, and commentary that ordinary Americans can use. And since he's such a prominent fixture in the financial scene, much of the marketing hinges on his persona, and every corner of the website displays his name, Whitney Tilson. But he's not the only one providing investment research. He has a team of experts that deliver regular investing recommendations to subscribers. And Empire Financial is also a joint venture of sorts between Tilson and Stansberry Research, drawing on Tilson's relationship with Porter Stansberry that goes way back. This means Tilson's company is under the vast wing of the Agora Group. If you want to know more about this network, including its share of controversies, read our detailed review of the Agora. Here we help subscribers see the big picture about this umbrella company, information that we hope will give you the perspective to make better decisions. So back to Empire Financial Research, they opened in 2019 as a vehicle for investor Whitney Tilson to give back, he says. He feels that 20 years of experience gives him the license to teach regular investors. And he believes that more Americans will achieve financial success with proper guidance. As a firm, Empire Financial Research is not afraid to go against the grain if they believe in their positioning. Tilson says he and his team dare to pick investment opportunities Wall Street just ignores, and they're not afraid to make bold calls and predictions since they know more than the typical investor, with deep knowledge in value and growth investing, short selling, macroeconomic analysis, and more. Aside from Tilson, the company has 5 others in its leadership team. They are Enrique Abeta, Berna Barshi, Herb Greenberg, Gabe Marshank, and Alex Grease. They all have deep financial backgrounds and are all high achievers in the field. Together with Tilson, they provide 2 free newsletters and 7 paid subscriptions. Empire Financial Research also has a tab on coronavirus updates, which is interesting. We assumed this section would discuss how the pandemic affects the market, but it looks like Tilson is really devoting significant space to addressing people's concerns about coronavirus. Which is commendable. It sends a signal to potential subscribers that not everything is about profit. One of the posts is Tilson's response to a reader who asks him about COVID-19. And although on the surface the discussion is purely science-based, it's obvious there are political undertones, as Tilson is clearly for vaccine mandates and against the use of ivermectin. Tilson also has a habit of using strong language against people with whom he disagrees, which may be the reason why he receives some complaints about his progressive Marxist ideologies. We discussed this issue in our previous article about Whitney Tilson, where we talked a great deal about his personality and career, and strongly recommend that you read this article as it relates to Empire Financial Research. So who is Whitney Tilson? Well, he was a student at Harvard Business School, where the famous Michael Porter was a professor, and together they found the Initiative for a Competitive Inner City, and Tilson served as its executive director from 1994 to 1998. Afterwards, he managed the Case Capital hedge fund until 2017, but shut it down as it had been underperforming since 2010. Tilson explains in a Forbes article what happened, and why the fund failed. Before its closure, Case Capital was doing great. He claims that he beat the market almost every year for 11 years, and tripled his investors' money in a flat market. However, at that time, he believed the market was ahead of the fundamentals as the economy picked up, and he decided to employ a defensive fund strategy. He held on to a lot of cash and carried a meaningful short book waiting for the next big downturn, but it did not come. The extended bull market was not kind to such a conservative positioning, and this resulted in his fund significantly underperforming for 7 long years, which is obviously a disappointment to his investors, to the point that the fund's assets shrunk to only $50 million. This had a tremendous impact on Tilson, who said, quote, "More importantly, I was miserable. Month after month, year after year, I felt like I was letting my investors down, so I finally decided to pull the plug last fall." And these are the mixed results that we were referring to earlier in the review. That is, Case Capital's failure in managing its 3 hedge funds and 2 mutual funds. So naturally, such a record would raise some doubts among subscribers. How can they trust a man behind an investment research firm if his last venture was a failure? Judgment and trust are 2 critical elements in investment research. Can you trust the instincts and judgment of the person at the helm of a failed firm? Yes, it's admirable that he openly talks about such a career setback, but can you trust his investment recommendations now? Well, in fairness, there is something to be said for honesty. After all, being candid and accountable for past actions is refreshing. But if 2 advisors are equally honest, would you choose the one whose last business was unsuccessful? Headlines like, "His hedge fund shut, Whitney Tilson says now he'll try research," is not helping his case. This is from Bloomberg News, talking about his career shift. And this kind of framing puts him in a bad light. And Greenbull Research is not advocating for a particular answer or position here, just to be clear. Our job at Greenbull Research is to help you separate the wheat from the chaff. We ask tough but fair questions so you can arrive at your own best decision in the end. And Tilson acknowledges this, and gives it a positive spin by saying, quote, "I think I've learned all the right lessons, and now I am well positioned to be a much better investor moving forward." On the topic of failure, author Samuel Smiles says, quote, "We can learn wisdom from failure much more than success. So it's a matter of taste if you opt to trust Tilson." So let's take a look at a few more of Tilson's accomplishments. He's written 4 books. He is also a contributor to Poor Charlie's Almanac, The Wit and Wisdom of Charles T. Munger. In terms of academic credentials, he graduated with honors with a bachelor's degree in government and also finished his MBA at the Harvard Business School with high distinction. And when you listen to him speak, he is an intellectual force. He's been around and is a sensible investor. He's spoken at Google, CNBC, Bloomberg, Fox News, and 60 Minutes. But what about the other experts at Empire Financial Research? As we mentioned, Tilson has 5 other people in his leadership team. His colleagues seem to carry most of the load. Out of 7 paid services and 2 free newsletters, Tilson is only in charge of 2 of the paid services and 1 newsletter. Enrique Abeyta is the editor of Empire Elite Trader, Empire Elite Growth, Empire SPAC Investor, and Empire Elite Options, and it's safe to say he's Tilson's second in command, and he has the credentials to back it up. With over 20 years of experience on Wall Street, where he raised more than $2 billion in assets. He's also outperformed the S&P 500 for 10 years and generated positive returns during the bear markets that followed the dot-com bubble and global financial crisis. He graduated with honors from Wharton. Berna Barshley, meanwhile, is an honors graduate from Princeton with an MBA from Harvard Business School. She also spent 2 decades on Wall Street and started her career with Goldman Sachs and Sanford Bernstein. And she is the editor of the Empire Market Insider and the free Empire Financial Daily newsletter. Herb Greenberg is Empire Financial Research's senior editor. With 4 decades of experience in financial journalism, CNBC, Chicago Tribune, San Francisco Chronicle, Fortune, and KRON-TV are some of the outfits he worked for. Gabe Marshank is the other senior editor of the company, an honors political science graduate from Yale, who immediately after graduating entered the investing world, and has a string of achievements over 20 years, including being responsible for managing billions of dollars in capital and generating more than $1 billion of profits for his firm's investors. Alex Grease is the younger member of the leadership team, is a financial chartered analyst who graduated from Carleton College in 2017. Aside from being the resident analyst, he also writes for Empire Stock Investor, Empire Market Insider, and Empire Investment Report. This team seems to have the perfect background for financial research. They've all been involved in the industry in various capacities. And taking their credentials at face value, it looks like a dream team. But credentials don't make money, and are not a guarantee for future success. And investment research is a different animal, where they have to convince potential subscribers to trust them. Meaning when they make their recommendations, these experts must consider how to communicate their calls in a language subscribers would understand and respond to. So Empire Financial Research's services include free newsletters, the Empire Financial Daily, and Whitney Tilson's Daily. And paid services include Empire Elite Growth, which is $3,000 a year, plus at least $10,000 available to invest. Empire Elite Options for $3,000 a year with at least $10,000 available to invest. Empire Elite Trader for $69 a month with at least $1,000 to put into each recommendation. Empire Investment Report, $3,000 per year plus $1,000 to put into each recommendation. Empire Market Insider for $3,000 a year plus $1,000 to put into each recommendation. Empire SPAC Investor for $3,000 per year plus at least $1,000 to put into each recommendation. Empire Stock Investor for $49 per year or $7.99 for a lifetime subscription, but you'll need at least $10,000 available to invest. And this is a brief outline of their services, but hopefully saves you time from clicking all the links just to get this essential information. Basically, the general pattern of Empire Financial Research's services is they're designed for the long term. They do have Empire Elite and Elite Trader services for more short and midterm investments, but these are exceptions. Also, a common tactic that the firm commonly uses is slashed discount prices. But it does seem to be a marketing ploy, and maybe it works for some, but we feel the tactic kind of cheapens the offer, and we think that most digital potential subscribers would appreciate honesty and candidness more. In addition, the minimum investments required are pretty steep. You need to have some deep pockets to be able to see substantial gains and returns. But even if you have the money to spare, there's still the question of how competent these services are. Well, what have other subscribers said so far? Let's take a look. There's not much to see yet on the Better Business Bureau website, and as of this recording, only one person gave it a rating, which is 1 star out of 5. The comments we see are all about how difficult it is to get refunds, so that's not a good sign. Nor has there been a single response from Empire Financial to these complaints. However, there are subscriber pages for 2 of its services on Stock Gumshoe, where Empire Elite Growth has received 4 out of 5 stars from around 30 votes, which is a pretty respectable rating. Generally, people seem satisfied. However, in the comments, we do see some complaints. Meanwhile, Empire Stock Investor was able to get 3 stars out of 5 from around 40 votes on Stock Gumshoe. This time with more moderate ratings, but in the comments, one happy customer calls it a winner. Of course, online reviews are not 100% predictive of how advisories may perform, but they do give a glimpse into others' experiences. As always, you have to weigh what the marketing says, what the editor's credentials are, and consider subscribers' feedback. So Empire Financial Research pros and cons. Well, the pros are strong credentials of the Empire Financial Research team and lots of advisory services to choose from. On the cons side, we have to consider Whitney Tilson's record with Case Capital Management. And these guided services are not advisable for active and hands-on investors. And you'll also require substantial investments. So in conclusion, should you trust Tilson's new company? Well, Tilson is without a doubt a controversial financial figure, but there's plenty of material here about his career and personal life that should help you determine his trustworthiness. It's also reasonable to believe that he's learned from his chapter with Case Capital, and we find Tilson's honesty to be commendable. But is this enough to trust your financial future based on the firm's recommendations? Well, that's your decision to make. And as always, we don't recommend putting all your eggs in one basket. But with this review, you should have all the information you need. And with that knowledge is the power to make an informed decision, so that you're not so easily swayed by marketing gimmicks or negative feedback. So, Empire Financial Research is headed by star investment advisor Whitney Tilson, who has a mixed record of spectacular wins as well as some hard-earned losses. Do you think Tilson's experience is good enough to bank on future performance? Are you interested in buying into their big-ticket subscriptions? Do you have any personal experience with Empire Financial Research products? Please let us know what you think in the comments below. We hope this review provides some value to you and helps you out. Here at Green Bull Research, we expose investment teasers on a regular basis. And unlike most of these overhyped teasers, at Green Bull Research, the information really is free. So if you'd like to stay informed on these hot tips, just go to greenbullresearch.com/join and scroll to the bottom of the page where you can enter your email to receive our newsletter every time we expose another investment teaser. If you found this video useful, please subscribe and give it a like. Thank you very much for watching.